following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sound 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Sindrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Monday in Nashville. The first touch of fall in the air with the temperature in the mid-70s. And boy, have we got a lot of football to talk about. Wall-to-wall football. If you love football, this is your show. Let's get it going. Let's call roll right off the bat. Head up to the plateau and say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how many hours do you think you watched over the weekend?
Oh, I don't even want to know. That it would somebody might think get a life if I were to tell them how much I watched. So we're not going to go there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's probably a safe answer. Billy, how about you?
George, I watched a lot of football. I'm not afraid to say it. It was not a lot of great football, a lot of bad college football games Saturday, low scoring, had some upsets, wild day in the Sun Belt, and then the Titans topped it off with an on-brand loss yesterday.
Yes. With that in mind, let's get right to it. Terry McCormick hosts our daily Titans update, and there he is, looking very perfectorial. Big word. Terry, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let's start with injury news. What can you tell us? How did they come out of this game?
Well, only one guy appeared to have a serious injury. A.J. Moore, backup safety. You saw him probably limp off the field there in the first quarter. He was in a walking boot and on crutches after the ball game in the locker room. There's been a report put out there that he may be out for the season, so that's a blow to the special teams unit.
Terry, there's no doubt that there was a big difference between what you saw out of the Titans pass rush in the first half, which was terrific, and then virtually non-existent in the second half. What do you think went on there?
I think the Giants made some adjustments at halftime. I think one of the things they did was they're going to put the ball in Saquon Barkley's hands, let him run the ball. They're going to try to get Daniel Jones on the move a little bit, get the ball out of his hands quickly and neutralize that pass rush. In fact, they kind of used the Titans' aggression against them at times by getting the ball out quick with some screens and some short passes, things like that. And then when the opportunity came, they took the big play on the touchdown pass to Sterling Shepard where Christian Fulton blew the coverage. But overall, I think the Giants just made the adjustment that they weren't going to let that pass rush beat them, and they neutralized it in the second half by using the run game and the quicker throws.
Terry, there's no doubt Saquon Barkley is a terrific running back when he's healthy. But are you surprised in the second half at how they pushed the Titans around?
Yeah, I think everybody is. I think everybody's kind of surprised that the Titans' run defense, which had been really a strength of the team all year long last season, got beat as badly as they did. I think Mike Vrabel said today there were double-digit missed tackles. There were guys who were not doing the right gap fits and things like that. So just an overall poor performance from the defense there, especially in the second half against the run. And when you can't stop the run, you play right into the other team's hands, and they're able to do what they want to and balance the run and the pass, and you saw the result of that.
Terry, right now, what we see out of Burks is very spotty. You'll see a nice play every once in a while, but there was a crossing pattern that he caught and then ran for about 5 or 6 yards. And I was sitting there saying, up in the upper deck, that's exactly what we're looking for out of him. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at Treylon Burks, there's no doubt that at some point, and the Titans probably need it sooner rather than later, that he's going to have to emerge as one of their top receiving targets. He's going to have to be the guy that makes the explosive plays that A.J. Brown used to contribute. You know, they're not, maybe doesn't have to make as many of those as A.J. Brown did, because I think, receivers 2, 3, 4, and 5 maybe a little better than they were a year ago, because the Titans really got not much from Julio Jones when all things considered. So I think when you look at the total of it, Treylon Burks has to be that explosive guy. But then there's also guys like Kyle Phillips, his fellow rookie, who played well yesterday. I think, they really didn't use Nick Westbrook-Akina, Austin Hooper, or Robert Woods very much at all in the pass game. I think they're going to have to start distributing the football around a little bit to more guys to keep the defenses off balance so they don't key on guys like Burks. But you're right, Burks does have that big play potential, and that's something that's missing from this offense right now.
Terry, this is maybe an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Given the way the Titans play, which is for very little margin of error, close to the vest, Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right, we know exactly what they are. They have now had the same field goal kicker miss 2 field goals at the buzzer. A year ago against the Jets up in the Meadowlands, yesterday. Is anybody concerned? Do you sense maybe a look at the waiver wire at all?
No, not at this point. I think, George, right now, Randy Bullock is their guy. Vrabel professed a lot of confidence in him, said he'd made a lot of big kicks for them over the last year or so. So right now, it's still Randy Bullock's job. He had a really strong training camp in preseason, missed very few kicks. It just didn't work out for him yesterday, and it cost the team in the end. But as Vrabel was quick to point out, both after the game yesterday and again today, in his day after wrap up, there were so many things that went wrong leading up to that point that it's hard to place all the blame on Randy Bullock for the miss.
Terry, appreciate it as always. We'll do it again tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good.
That's Terry McCormick's daily Titans update. Watson Brown and his analysis of what went on yesterday at 4:20. That's something you're going to want to hear. Billy, let's get to the update, which is very injury-riddled.
Yes, it is, George. And before we get to it, sponsored by the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners. They are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset. The Justin Tucker team, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty. Call them at 615-906-8458. Also, Sumner Funeral and Cremation as well. They are sharing their family with yours in your time of need. Now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville, and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified. And George, before we get to the injury-riddled update, we've got a first piece of news. Scott Frost has been fired. The Cornhuskers will pay his massive buyout to dismiss their coach 3 games into the 5th season. Mickey Joseph will serve as the interim head coach.
Mickey Joseph is Vance Joseph's brother. He becomes the first African-American head coach in Nebraska history. Watson, they could have saved like $7.5 million if they booted him around October the 1st. I got to admit, I am stunned at the way this whole 4 or 5 year tenure played out. When I would watch them, they didn't look like a very well-coached football team.
No, George, it's disappointing. I thought he was the perfect hire myself. It's always easy being an AD to, when somebody hires this guy or that, to say, I'm not sure that's the one I would have hired. That's who I would have hired. is Scott Frost, and it just he himself never looked confident to me on the sidelines. There was always this look in his eyes, and I don't know if it overwhelmed him. I feel for him. I wish he had gotten it done. I know how you feel when it doesn't get done at your alma mater, and he'll be a head coach again. He did too well at Central Florida. He was well thought of at Oregon as an assistant before that. And Scott will show up again, and I'll bet he does a much better job the next go around than he did with Nebraska.
This whole thing is a real head scratcher to me. I watched a little bit of it Saturday night near the end. And Watson, I told a friend of mine yesterday morning, I said, don't be shocked if Scott Frost gets fired today. In retrospect, it kind of feels like they just should have done it at the end of last year.
Yeah, and I think the reason they didn't, they wanted to give Scott a shot. I really do. I think being one of their guys and a very popular guy at that school, I totally believe that's what happened. They wanted Scott to have every opportunity to get it done. Probably had discussed with him. Now, if it don't get off to a good start, there's no telling what might go down. I think the whole thing was discussed that way, and I wouldn't doubt Scott saying, look, you're going to have no problems with me if you'll give me this last shot. And I'll do whatever we got to do here to smooth this out if it doesn't work. It's just sad. You'd like to see a guy that was so successful as a player and very hot as a head coach, or as a coach and a head coach. He's a very hot guy when Nebraska hired him, and to see it not work is just sad. But it wasn't working. I mean, the kids had no confidence. These close losses, I think they just kept building up to the point they get in them, and the kids just kind of freeze. You could see it in their eyes. You could see it in Scott's eyes. I was watching him on the field go before the kick, and he kind of turned his back and said a prayer. I could tell what he was doing. I know as a coach what he was doing. Watched the ball, see his eyes, and just the sadness came across his face. Laid down the headphones and slowly walked across the field. In my personal opinion, Scott knew right then it was over.
I absolutely think you're right. I was watching it, and when he just laid down the stuff, it was like he was saying goodbye.
Yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah, sad deal.
Okay, Billy, what else?
All right, George, next piece, Notre Dame. They had a brutal loss to Marshall on Saturday. They've elevated their backup, Drew Pine, to starting quarterback because their starter, Tyler Buckner, is out with a shoulder sprain, and he's likely to miss the whole season, 4 months. I mean, that's the majority of the entire season. So the issues just keep compounding for the Irish. No more Tyler Buckner for them.
Watson, they've got big problems, and from a coaching standpoint, that effort that they gave against Ohio State went totally out the window in a pitiful performance against Marshall.
Yeah, I can been there, done that a little bit. You busted in that big game, and then you got one you're supposed to win following it. I've been there, done that, but they didn't respond. Is the thing I saw. Marshall jumped on them early, George. I was back and forth watching some of that. Notre Dame didn't respond. I mean, it wasn't there. They're not very good at all on offense. I mean, this is a poor offense, not a average Notre Dame offense. It's poor, and their defense isn't that good to cover it up and to beat somebody 10-7 and 17-13. Notre Dame, in my opinion, is in trouble.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Billy?
I cannot agree more with that. We'll have to see. It'll be really interesting to see what Notre Dame ends up doing the rest of the season after that loss. Move on to the NFL. There's optimism in Pittsburgh about TJ Watt. He might not have fully torn his pec, and he could return in roughly a month. So the Steelers might have dodged a bullet there with their star pass rusher, maybe not out the whole season at least.
For his sake, I hope that's the case. He is every bit as good a player as his brother. And, man, that's saying something. I hope this works out okay for him.
Guys, the Steelers amaze me. Mike Tomlin amazes me. there's one thing his kids do, players do. They play hard, man.
Boy, they do.
Day in, day out, game in and game out, George. We all said, this will be the year the Steelers will fall off talent level. 5 interceptions in the game. That defense was all over the place. It was fantastic. I'm still not sure Mitch Trubisky is the guy myself, but that bunch knows how to play defense now. When they flat get turned on like that, they are fun to watch.
Scary. Billy?
Next piece, George, Dak Prescott will undergo surgery on his thumb injury. He's going to miss several weeks. And you said before we got on, George, just brutal for them.
Well, let me put it differently. Watson, they're toast.
Yeah, they're toast. Hey, I've done that. I had a quarterback named Mike Weaver at East Carolina, guys, and we're in our last scrimmage, and I said, Coach Dye, he's all we got. Can we put him in a red shirt and not get touched? He turns upfield to run with the ball. Nobody touches him. He stumbles. He sticks his hand down on the ground and snaps the ligament in his thumb, and he's gone for 6-8 weeks. I'm sitting there watching it last night, and I mean, he's got nobody really to throw to.
No.
They couldn't protect. I felt sorry for Dak. I really did.
Yeah.
And I'd have got him out of there. I wouldn't have still been playing him in the fourth quarter myself. They weren't going to win that game. They weren't making 2 first downs at a time. And then to lose him, they're in deep trouble. It looks to me like, George, the NFC East is still – it's better. The Eagles, I think, are going to be better. The Giants are better, but I don't think the Giants are that good. Now, maybe these 2 pass rushers, when they get them back, will make a difference. But that pass rush yesterday, man, there wasn't anything there. And the Cowboys don't look good. The NFC East again, and our conference, the AFC South, are the 2 conferences that are still didn't look very good to me yesterday.
No. Last note,
George, stay with the Cowboys. Micah Parsons took to Twitter to blast Leonard Fournette after his quote-unquote dirty chip block went viral. He said, go watch the tape, see what happened when it was me and him one-on-one. You hit someone not looking like you're straight, bad word. Stop hyping this stuff up. It's football. So Micah Parsons not happy with that chip block from Leonard Fournette.
Micah Parsons is the best thing the Cowboys have going. And based on last night, it feels like he's the only thing they've got going.
That's what I said. Only, not the best. Only. And Micah Parsons is wrong. That is a very legal block. If they want to get rid of that, get rid of it. But that's not a cheap shot. That's the way you teach a running back to help a tackle right there. You hit him high. You hit him around his shoulders to put his shoulders up in the air to where it takes the rush away for the tackle. There was a perfect block. That is not a cheap shot. The NFL thinks that's a cheap shot, then they need to do away with that block.
Okay, after the break, we'll put Watson on the hot seat, get his analysis of what went on yesterday at Nissan Stadium. But let's cut to the chase. This is a bad loss to a pretty mediocre football team, and that should not have happened yesterday to the Titans. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Well, before we get this started, let's just say a couple of things up front. The best thing the Titans have going right now is the fact, as Watson alluded to in the previous segment, the AFC South is crummy. Indy laid an egg yesterday, admittedly got off the deck and forced a tie. If Houston and Jacksonville are in this race, then everybody's got trouble. And the Titans laid a second-half egg against the Giants. That is a bad loss to a mediocre football team. You can cut it any way you want. That's a loss that should not have happened. So, Watson, let's talk about it, and let's start with some of where you want to take this. And we'll go with number one. Tell me what you mean by stick to your DNA.
George, I mean, when we've been really good in 20, and then, or I guess it was 19, wasn't it? When we went in deep in the playoffs, and then last year up to when Derek got hurt, we were hand it to Derek, run it down your throat, don't get pretty, and then throw off of that. And yesterday, when we handed it to Derek, it was solid. It wasn't just great, but it was getting better. And then he disappears in the game toward the end in the fourth quarter. And on a third down play, we'll get into that. And then he's not even on the field on the 2-minute thing. And I can understand that piece a little bit. But we're built off of a strong offensive line that blocks for Derrick Henry, a quarterback that throws play action passes the best of anything he does, and to fake it to Derek and throw it to a wide receiver one-on-one somewhere where there's not a lot of coverage reads or whatever. And we just got, I thought we were cute yesterday. We'd get fancy on third downs. We wouldn't hand it to Derek on us 2 plays in a row. When we're really good, George, we're at worst 3rd and 4. We're 3rd and 4 or less at worst, or we're 2 runs or a play action pass and a run, first down. That's us. And we're not going to win. Our quarterback is built for this offense this way. Our tailback is built for this offense this way. And we are leaving our DNA. We left it after Derek got hurt, and it looked that way in the playoffs when Derek came back. Now, Derek, I don't think was well yet, but he was there, and we didn't do it. And then yesterday, it was just like it was a pretty day. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's be cute with this. Let's be cute with that. Titans win when they knock you down and fake knocking you down, throw it underneath in those intermediate zones or over the top of you.
Okay, let's go to number 2, which is Derrick Henry. And Watson, let me ask this question. Do you see anything about him that suggests the injury that he had a year ago has some lingering issues?
No, I'm not going there yet. He didn't get much opportunity to show burst. I think twice I saw him get through the line, and it looked like the steam was just about to come. I thought the Giants did a good job in tackling him yesterday. The hit that one kid made down closer to the goal line, where Derek is just starting to clear the line of scrimmage, and he caught him under the numbers, and you don't see that very often. But I don't see that, George. But I also hadn't seen Derek get in space yet to see if he's got it or not. I would answer it by saying I don't know. But I didn't see anything to tell me, no, he doesn't have it anymore.
Okay, item number 3 involves a second half that was awful. The Giants were, clearly the better team. I thought as the second half went on, they pushed the Titans around. Saquon Barkley was able to get great yardage, not only off the big play, but throughout the second half. Was this a tired football team? What was it that happened?
Well, the Giants did do a better job of run pass and stayed balanced and stayed within the chains. Early in the game, they'd jump off sides, they'd hold, they'd try to throw 2 passes in a row, they'd get a sack. They never got any rhythm. In the second half, I think they got in the locker room and said, guys, we're lucky to be 13-0 right now. Let's go back and do what we started out to do in the game and see if we can make it work and just have a balanced run pass. That's what they did, and it worked. And I don't know what you've got after this, George, as the fourth one, but the defensive line to me is such a big piece of our team. When they don't play well, we're in deep trouble. When we because they're the strength of the team. And our linebackers behind them are not big kids. I think we play with 2 athletic guys, Cunningham and Long, that aren't real big. They're very athletic. But those big guys keep them off of them. They're free when we're playing good. And they have to double team, and they can't get people to our linebackers. And then our linebackers chase the ball down. Our secondary is still very suspect to me. Very suspect. So if they get to second level on our linebackers, we're not built just to jump in there and take everybody on, whip them, and make a tackle. We're sideline to sideline. They can cover people. They can play linebackers on backs, man, because they're both athletic kids. But, man, when our defensive line doesn't play well, in my opinion, we're in trouble. It goes back to that DNA. We're built on Derek running the ball well and throwing play action passes off of it, and our dominance up front on defense, and then we can free some other people up to make plays because we are very athletic on the perimeter. Our secondary kids are athletic. Our linebackers are athletic. I'm not saying we're playing great in the secondary, but we're athletic. We can run. And but that defensive front, George, has to play better. I've thought a lot about this. They had to have gotten tired. Very few of those guys played any in the preseason.
Yeah.
And first game, kind of a muggy old day. You were there, hot, muggy. I'd like to think they just got tired because we didn't rush the passer the same way in the second half either. They didn't give us as much opportunity. I'll agree with that. But there were plays where Jones stood back there a lot longer than needed to and was able to get the ball off. And in the first half, he couldn't have come close to doing that.
Watson, the fourth one you've already talked about, too cute on offense. So
Yeah.
let's go to a little bit of Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion that if you've got 32 teams in the NFL and 32 starting quarterbacks, he is right in the middle. He is average, and that is all he is. And given that he's 33 years old plus, that's all he's going to be. You really broke down for me earlier today on the phone what you think are his strengths and weaknesses, and I want you to share that with everybody.
He's average on certain things, but he's strong on other things. He's very accurate. Ryan is a good football player that fits this offense, George, when you let him throw it to one guy. Now, how do you get to do that? You get to do that because we're running the ball well. And even if they don't have 8 in the box, because the Giants didn't really put 8 in the box, but the safeties, you stick that ball out. I don't care if it's 2nd and 10. You stick that ball out toward number 22, everybody steps up. And I think the reason is I don't want to have to tackle this guy on my heels. I'm going to get ready to take him on. Everybody steps up, and there's openings on those crossing routes. There's opening on those squaring routes. And then we get one-on-ones and throw out cuts, or we get one-on-ones with double moves and get behind people. That's what Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, might be top 10 in the league at. But when it comes to drop back pass, and he's got a high-low. There was a high-low once yesterday, and they showed it on the screen twice, where we hooked up our W. I think it was Phillips on a 6-yard little hookup, and then we took a receiver and took a squaring in behind that. We forced it into the hookup underneath, and the guy behind it is wide open coming across the ball, and Ryan tried to force it. He is very poor, in my opinion. Well, middle of the pack back, in my opinion, at drop back pass, high-low, having to read this one to this one, reading coverage. You saw him in the 2-minute offense yesterday. He was good. Why? The Giants lined up and played man-free every down in the 2-minute offense. So he knew where he was going with the ball before the ball was snapped, and that throw he threw to the corner route to Phillips was a beautiful throw. But we have got to do, George, what he can do best. We can't be getting cute. And then we've got to let him disperse the ball around. He's got to throw it to more people. We do not have a go-to guy. Our 2 go-to guys, A.J. Brown yesterday caught 10 balls at Philadelphia for 155 yards. He's still the man. He's a good football player. Julio Jones looked like Julio Jones last night. I mean, both of our guys are now stars with another team. I'm not getting honest about it. I'm just saying we don't have those guys now, and we're going to have to get the ball to more people. I did not understand no taking shots at the tight end we were playing, Swain, but we signed Hooper,
and he really was very little factor.
I don't know that he was ever targeted.
Yeah,
maybe one time on an little out cut or something. I don't know, but why was he not the one in the game?
Watson,
why was he not the one in the game? I don't know, but I'm just telling you, if we don't this leads right back to the DNA deal that I said, George. If we don't get back to what I call Mike Vrabel football, we're going to have a tough time winning the division, and we should win the division. We should win the division. I saw all 3 of the other ones play yesterday. We still have by far, in my opinion, maybe 10 points better than the other 3 teams. And I was really disappointed in the Colts. And really, they had to start slinging it to catch up. And the Texans look better than I thought they would, but it's still they're not near to that point. The Jags, I didn't watch any, but I heard they were better. But still, we have got to get back to what we do. And there were just – I thought yesterday, George, there were a lot of things that can be corrected, a lot that Mike can get corrected. We can fix those things. Some play calls, some how we use the clock in 2 minutes, a lot of correctable things. Our punter, he's got an unbelievable leg, but he's kicking it too deep. Kern was really good at kicking it high and over toward a boundary, and there weren't returns. Yesterday, they were catching it 2 or 3 times and running 15 yards before a guy even came in the screen. That's correctable. He's very talented. But then you go and say, but we still got some of the same issues we had last year that I'm not sure are correctable. We have to cover our secondary. We have to find ways to cover our secondary, not put them in a total one-on-ones too many times. We're still average back there, and we can't be pass first, run second. I'm not sure we can pass protect still. They didn't have to yesterday. The Giants weren't very good. Their 2 best players, ends, weren't playing, and you could tell they couldn't get off a block. Ryan had more time to throw yesterday than he's had at any game I've seen since he's been in Nashville. And he played well, but he didn't play great, and he looked just like last year to me. Some of the problems he had last year, I saw again yesterday. The good things he did last year, I saw him do them good again yesterday.
Okay, let me ask this question, and then we'll go to the break. You know their DNA. You're a football coach. They should know their DNA. They're in that building 365 days out of the year, and in a lot of cases, about 16 hours a day. So why are they getting away from it?
It's all I'll do is defend it a little bit, and we coaches do that sometimes. We get the pat in our chest, and we think we're something special. Man, I've come up with, in the offseason, I've come up with some really neat things here we're going to try. And then all of a sudden you get hit in the mouth and you say, we're going back to what we do. I can promise you, Mike Vrabel was in that offensive meeting room today, and blankety, blankety, blank, here's what we're doing. And we better start doing it now. The 2 third down calls, George, that cost us, in my opinion, we want to talk about the missed field goal. The 2 third down calls, when we got 3rd and 1, and we get in the gun with Derrick Henry, a direct wildcat with Derrick Henry, put Tannehill under the center, hand Derrick the ball, and let him get a yard. My gracious. And then the next time we come down, it's 3rd and 1, we hand the ball to a tight end now on a quick motion across the ball and run one of those speed sweeps, and Lewan completely whiffs a block. If that had been Burks carrying that, the guy that Lewan missed, he would have run by him, but the tight end wasn't fast enough to run by him, so we lose 3. Vrabel went nuts on the call. He may not say that and may not own up to it. He went nuts before the play was ever run on the sidelines. I saw him. I know what the look is, and I know when I've done it. He went nuts on the call, and then it didn't work, and all he did, punt team, he was frustrated as he could be. We can't do those things, George. We got to give it to Derrick. We paid him all this money. He's 250 pounds. Hand him the ball and let him gain a yard. My gracious alive. And then I think the other coaching thing, I know we're in a hurry to go here, is we got down there in the 2-minute. Either Ryan was letting the clock run out or whatever. Mike had to call and use our last timeout. Man, did that hurt. We got 2 more pass plays coming. We know what they're doing. We get to call it and say, okay, we'll throw it to you this time. That might have turned into a 15-yard ball on the 15-yard line instead of where it was. Now no timeouts left. He's afraid to run another play. He runs a sneak over to the right hash call. He still had that one, I guess, left. He called timeout that last time. But that really hurt us when we had to use that timeout for that reason. No, we downed the ball. We didn't call timeout. We ran a sneak over to the right, got on the hash, got back up and downed the ball, and then tried to kick the field goal. That really hurt. And that's either on Ryan or the coaches, the offensive coordinator, to use that timeout with the clock stopped. Clock's not running. It's on 18 seconds, but the 25-second clock, or I guess it was 40-second clock at that point. No, it's 25, was running down. You said it was close to running out when Mike called the timeout. Bad deal. That really, really hurt.
You can't have that happen.
No, but those are cleanup things, George.
Yeah. Okay, so I knew going in that Watson's analysis of this would be brilliant. And as all of you can tell, he's the right guy to be doing the criticisms or the praises of the Titans, who are now 0-1. Mike Vrabel, you will hear from him next. My guess is it's not all that much fun. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 1045 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
Well, cutting through whatever it is you want to cut through yesterday's a bad loss. And the only way it's a loss that doesn't really hurt this team is if the division sucks. And at least in week one, the division pretty much sucked. Indy couldn't go to Houston and win, which is embarrassing. Was down 20-3 at one point. Anyway, all of this to say
there's still no more wins in the AFC South, even though two of the teams played each other.
Oh, it's horrendous. All of this to say, who knows whether this is going to be a loss that haunts this team or not. If it doesn't, it'll likely be because the division sucks, pure and simple. Now, here's Titans coach Mike Vrabel. We're back. I'm told that while I heard the audio just fine, Watson, I don't know if you did or not.
No, I did not. So you'll have to help me with some of the things he said.
So there was a lot of discussion about the final 25 seconds where they don't appear to be doing anything more than just moving the ball into the position, the place on the field, hash mark that they wanted. And he's very clear that this was the way he wanted it, that when you get to about the 25-yard line, that's plenty good enough.
And he says a lot of the same things that you end up saying, that when they're good, they run. When they're good, they stop the run. And when they're good, the quarterback, he used the word, I think, efficient. And Watson, I don't know, but that we have really not, I'm not saying you or me necessarily, but as a city, maybe we've had to come to grips with the fact that Ryan Tannehill is what he is. He's an average quarterback, which makes him at the top 98% of quarterbacks in the world. But in the NFL, it puts him right at the 50-50 mark. And there are things he apparently cannot do that some other great quarterbacks can do.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the other ones are great. But this young man does plenty, George, that's good enough for us to win with. But we got to do what he does best. It's not just Derrick Henry, it's also Ryan Tannehill. Don't put your quarterback in positions of things he doesn't do well. I've done it, and it don't work.
So
you can't make a kid do something he can't do. It just don't work. And
is he telling them that today?
I think so. It all goes right back to what we started with DNA. And he's going to get caught some. It's going to be 3rd and long. He's got to drop back and throw the ball, and he's going to be average when he does. That's not what he does best. But I've also seen him at Houston. We don't get the number 1 seed if he don't duck a pass rusher and scramble sideways and then hit a crosser for a first down. Those things he does well. He's not great sitting in the pocket. He has a low release. His ball comes out kind of low.
And
he's
he had
not
a couple
real
of
tall.
them tipped because of that.
Yes, he's not real tall. Balls get tipped, and he is for sure not a rhythm high-low passer. I've had those guys, and I've tried to make them that, and they never went past average at it. And so I think this game will help them. This bunch, their DNA has been sometimes on the ones we're supposed to win, we don't play very good. Then all of a sudden, the poor old Titans head to the Bills, who's going to kill them. Mark it. That ain't going to happen now. They'll come back with a vengeance. I don't know if they're going to win the game, but we won't see the team we saw play Sunday afternoon, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Billy, it's funny. Watson's echoing what you said yesterday, which is they weren't very good in the second half. In fact, they were downright awful. But about the time we try to write them off, then they go to Buffalo and show us something.
Ever since Vrabel got here. I mean, they lose to the Jags or the Jets or the Texans or whoever, and then all this hype leads up the week before. No one's talking about the Titans, and they feed off that they love it. Jeffrey Simmons, all those guys, they love it. I mean, Kevin Byard stepping on the star at the Cowboys midfield, they love it. So, I don't know that they go out and win in Buffalo, but they're going to play a lot better. And we're going to see a different team. And Watson, what do they say? What do coaches say you improve the most from week 1 to week 2? Right?
Hey, what did we do last year in game 1? We looked awful against the Cardinals.
Yep.
Awful.
And went to Seattle and won.
And then went to Seattle where everybody's saying, oh, God, we're going 0-2. And that's why I said a lot of this stuff I saw, George, is correctable. There are some things that aren't, and I worry a little bit not having a go-to guy at receiver, and the secondary still scares me as it did last year, and we cannot just put all the heat on those guys. We got to keep getting to the quarterback, man, and losing Landry, I saw it yesterday. I saw it in long yardage. We didn't have that burst coming around that left side that we've had, and Weaver is okay. We played number 92 some. It ain't the same, guys. So we've got some things. Receiver, we're not as good, but we could end up being pretty good. Secondary still scares me to death, and we're awful young back there. And then not having Landry. Those things I'm not sure we can correct. Everything else yesterday is very correctable in my opinion.
Stat of the day, and then a look at a crazy improbable weekend of college football. All of that and more on Main Street Media Television. Tell me a little bit about your company.
So One Stop Realty has been around since 1974. We are your hometown brokerage. It is family owned by me. We have 30 agents that are waiting to help you with all your real estate needs. That counts as residential, commercial, and property management. We also will be getting into the auction business at the end of this month as well. We have listings that range from every price range that you can think of on the real estate market. I know Shelly Tucker has a new listing coming up in Gallatin. Heather Patton has one in Madison right around the corner here. I have one coming up myself. We have everything you need as far as real estate, and we have the expertise to help you out.
Beautiful. Give them a phone number.
Phone numbers for the office is 615-822-0750. You can find us on the web at www.onestoprealty.tn.com.
Thanks for getting involved with us.
George,
really appreciate this. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think so.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
The high school football season is here, and nobody handles Friday nights better than Main Street Media. Here's Zach Womble with details.
That's the name of the game here at Main Street Media and Main Street Preps. Is, we've been doing this for a long time now, and I think you hit on it. We've got an army of reporters across all of Middle Tennessee. I think there's about 130 schools in the Middle Tennessee area, and we try to cover all of them. We cover about 11, 12 counties at this point. And those Friday night shows, it's we're gonna show that off. We're gonna showcase the talent that we have on the field with reporters across several mid-state games on the weekly basis. So whether you're in Williamson County, whether you're in Giles County or Murray County or Montgomery or Robertson or anywhere in between, we're gonna have you covered from 6 to 11.
Friday Night Live is presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Okay, it's good to have Watson back. for stat of the day. If for no other reason than if we gag, I can at least blame half of it on him.
Misery loves company, don't it, boy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I know the answer to this one.
How do you already know it?
Well, because I happened to see it. Billy let me see it, but won't give me the answer. So Billy has some reading to do, and then we'll move on.
A little bit of reading. George, stat of the day, powered by John English Vintage Sports and Cards. They specialize in antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. You can visit John English Sports and Cards from Shelbyville, Tennessee, Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 o'clock, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Visit them online, johnenglishgradedcards.com. Also, Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. Call Eric at 615-490-7052, or you can visit rockcastlewealth.com for more information. All right, we go to stat of the day in the NFL yesterday, so pretty recent. Which NFL offense yesterday had 33 first downs in 66 total plays on offense?
33 first downs is an abnormally high number. Watson, let's just you and I for a minute yap about this. The first thing I thought of was Kansas City, who went to Arizona and showed the Cardinals who daddy is. Anybody else for you stick out in that?
No, because there weren't a lot of wow games yesterday as far as that. That'd probably be the only one I could see right this minute.
I tried to think about the two games that went overtime because they both got an extra 10 minutes. Pittsburgh sort of came to mind, but not really.
Oh no, they didn't move the ball that well all day.
You know what? What the heck? Let's go Kansas City. Aha.
Yep. That's the only one that really, because yesterday was not an offensive day.
No, it really wasn't.
Really wasn't.
Two overtime. Was it 2 overtime games?
Yeah.
Might have been more than that.
And I think I cannot remember another time where 2 games in the same day ended up in overtime ties. I can't ever remember 2.
And they were straight.
That's been a great stat of the day question.
Yeah.
They were straight 20-20.
Okay. We're now legal to get to the 5 o'clock hour.
It's legal. It's legal, George. It is powered by Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint. They combine state-of-the-art orthopedic service with a family atmosphere. Whether it's a sports injury, a sprained ankle, or a major joint replacement, Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint has the staff, training, and equipment needed to take care of any patient in any circumstance. Log on to mtbj.net for more information.
Okay, Watson. Later on, probably by late September, early October, what we're doing here at 5 o'clock every Monday will take on some added significance. Right now, 3 of the 4 are codlock cinches in whatever order you want to put them in. So are we going 4?
We're going, whatever. We can go 4-1. You want to do that?
Let's do 4-1.
All right. Here's number 4, the Michigan Wolverines.
Which means I think that Watson eliminated Clemson for the week. Michigan had a big victory over Hawaii, who today would be a 7-point underdog to Murfreesboro, Oakland. But we digress.
Maybe 14.
14. No,
14 underdog.
I like it. So, Michigan, talk to me about them.
I still don't see a dominant offense yet, but their defense, they're playing hard. They're tough. For some reason, all last year and the start of this year, they've taken on the head coach's personality, finally, to me. And they're kind of arrogant. They're in your face. They
wear khakis.
That's what I think Michigan needs to be in a classy way. I'm not talking about in a dirty way, and I see that. And I still don't see a 4th team that's with the other 3. I still think Ohio State would beat Michigan today, 10 points or so. It's in the shoe this year, I think.
Yeah.
But that's the next one. Clemson to me, Furman, 35-12 or something like that. Geez.
Until
if you're one of the top 4 in the country and you're playing around with an average FCS school, and I still don't think they have a quarterback that's capable of winning a championship. It's going to be interesting to see which one Michigan picks of their quarterbacks, George. I haven't seen that today. Have you?
Nope.
You know, he said we'll pick one after both of them start a game. So I'm anxious to see where they go with that.
That might have been a load of bull too.
Could have been. Who knows?
May just start rotating.
So I'm guessing you have Ohio State third.
Yes, I do.
Voila.
Ohio State third. Easy second game, so nothing much to say about them. If that defense is that improved, I know that offense is going to come on. So that's still a team that could bump up before all this is over. If the defense is that good, we now know Notre Dame's offense stinks. So is that Ohio State defense that good, or have they just played 2 very average offenses so far?
Okay, number 2 has a little bit of intrigue because of Alabama's close, narrow escape at Texas. You have them number 2. Give me a quick thought.
I didn't, just because of narrow escape. I didn't see explosiveness at receiver the way I've seen it at Alabama. I didn't see it. And I don't think they got a go-to guy. They're going to have to throw it all around. The quarterback's bona fide. That kid made plays in that fourth quarter. He is bona fide. But the receiver play isn't what it was last year, and I don't think the offensive line play is what it was last year. So I don't think right now, everybody's saying this is going to be the best Alabama team they've seen. No. Devontae Smith, some of the dudes they've had back there to throw it to, George, good gracious. And I don't see one right now.
Yeah. And, of course, Georgia is number 1. They pretty much called off, you'll like this, the dogs. Notice the pun there.
Called off the dogs.
Pun intended, against Samford.
Yeah,
they look good.
They look real good, and I appreciate that. I don't know why coaches don't do that. You get the lead, that team can't come back and beat you. Let the kids play. I'm not talking about just being fair to Sanford. I'm talking about all those kids on your team that bust their fannies and don't get in those games. Put them in the game and let them play. Georgia did that, got out of the game healthy, got good attitudes because a lot of kids got to play. I don't know why more coaches at those top schools that get in a lot of those kind of games, George, don't do that more than they do. Well, I never was in many of those games, so I never had too many where I got to do that, to be very honest.
Watson, I think this is where Kirby has improved as a coach. You know, early in his career, I don't know that his players were fully 100%. They might have lost a little bit of stamina down the stretch of a season in a postseason game. I think now he's, in his whatever year he's in George, he's further along to where he's not going to play these guys in the second half if he doesn't need to. And I think that's helping them already. Down the stretch, you got fresh guys.
Well, and Billy, especially early in the year, I don't know why you don't do it, because you want to develop as many kids as you can because of injury. Now, if it's game 11 and you're fixing to play Alabama the next week or something, right, you still would like to do it, but it don't mean as much that late. But early in the year, you might find 2 or 3 more players that could really help you if you have an injury later on in the season.
Okay, this past weekend had some amazing stuff go on in college football. Let's get to the studs and the duds. So which one do we start with? We go with the studs, and let's go with the obvious right off the bat.
The Thundering Herd.
I would bet you there's a stud and a dud in this one right here.
You might be right. You might be right. You know what? Can you imagine the bus ride home for Marshall?
Amazing.
Coach, I've done it.
I mean, 50 years from now, those kids will be lying about that at a reunion.
Yeah, I went to Cincinnati in my first game. We beat the national champions, Penn State. I've been in those buses. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's just unbelievable, the ecstaticness of it and what it means to those kids for the rest of their lives. And it's really neat.
Now,
and Marshall deserved it, guys.
Oh,
they beat them.
They were the better team.
Yeah.
They were the better team. That could have been worse. The score could have been worse than it was, in my personal opinion. Marshall dominated from the start of that game. They took the first drive, I think, and went right down the field and scored.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a close game.
Their quarterback played his butt off. That was fun to watch.
You think he ain't tougher than nails?
He got hit a few times.
And
he did.
We'll get to the sad part of this game later.
Okay, next on the stud list, best coach team in America.
What did I say, George?
Man,
I told you.
Watching them Saturday night go up against that crowd, and if you've never been to Florida Field, there is not a nastier crowd in the country.
It's nasty.
And they went in there and rammed it down Florida's throat.
Oh,
man.
They play football the way I've always thought football was supposed to be played. There ain't nothing they're not going to out-tough you on, George. We're going to be physically tougher than you, and we're going to be mentally tougher than you. That's the way he coaches his team. He wants them to play. And week in and week out, that's pretty much what Kentucky does. Since he's gotten the talent level up to where he can play with these people, he's beating them now on pure toughness. I mean, his quarterback is tougher than nails. That guy is the epitome of the head coach, in my personal opinion. Their defense, their offensive line, they keep hitting you. And they're relentless with it. They may not be having great success early. They don't care. They're going to keep pounding you. And sooner or later, that other side's going to get a crack. And that's exactly what seems to happen when people play Kentucky. Don't count these Wildcats out now in the East. I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to play them. I wouldn't want to play them. Where is the Tennessee game? Is it in Knoxville?
Tennessee.
At Tennessee.
Yeah. It's in Knoxville. I don't care. Kentucky will show.
Yeah.
And what Kentucky makes you do, George, in my opinion, is beat me. Come and beat me. And I don't think you can. You'll make mistakes, and we'll end up beating you. And that's the way they play. I love watching their team play.
He is a damn good football coach.
He is a good football coach.
I thought Levis got his head knocked off.
And kept coming back for more.
Oh, yeah.
He's epitome of that team. He's tough as nails.
Third stud. Oh, yeah.
The Mountaineers.
By the way, A&M is not on my list of duds.
Whew.
They should be.
Yeah, you just didn't have enough room. You had too many duds.
That's true. But there's one. There was a personal dud.
You know what we could have done? We could have had just 4 games, and have a stud of who won and
the exact same dud.
Who lost?
This is so good. I mean, Jimbo had to go back to the drawing board Saturday night and go, what gives? They don't have a quarterback right now.
Unbelievable how poor that offense is. I just don't know how you can be at a program like that with all the resources they have and come out with an offense that looks like that against an App State team now that gave up 63 the week before. 63.
God.
And then A&M comes and does that. App helped my brother a lot. I can tell you right now.
He's the happiest.
It's a lot easier to drive around Chapel Hill right now after App goes.
Oh, no question. Okay, the last one you probably paid no attention to. Kansas, atta baby.
I saw that late Saturday night.
Lance Leopold just might be Nebraska's next head coach.
Well, and
think about that.
West Virginia may have the next firing coming.
Right.
It may be the next one because they've not liked him for a while, and they thought they were going to be really good, and they did play well in their first game, but didn't win. They still lost the game and then come back and laid an egg.
By the way, this game was at West Virginia.
Yeah, first home game.
Ugly loss.
He is Lance Leopold, head coach at Kansas. In a year and a half, he's at least got them competitive.
Big
now
win.
To the duds. Dud number 1, whatever. This will teach you a lesson. And maybe the lesson is when you're Notre Dame, why are you not opening it up to the world for all of these coaches who have done something? Marcus Freeman hadn't done squat, and yet he got the job. You would think, and I know this is early to do this, and this is an easy second guess, but does the name Jerry Faust ring a bell?
Yeah, and I'll defend him. I'm going to defend him a little, George. You're absolutely right in being able to say that. I'm not saying that, but he's. It's too early to say that.
It is.
They have no offense. Until they fix that, he's not going to win any games. And I don't know if it's coordinator. I don't know if it's what Kelly brought in there talent-wise.
He's got a bunch of tight ends, and that's about it.
Yeah, they're not going to score points on anybody. I think they're in for a tough year. And Freeman was only there a year. So that's another thing about hiring him that quickly. He really wasn't there a year, probably there 9 months or something. Came from Cincinnati as the coordinator at University of Cincinnati. And lo and behold, 9 months after he gets there, he's the head coach at Notre Dame. And he's young. I've watched his recruiting. It's much better. So I'm not going to go as far as you did just yet, but you have every right to say that.
Number 2. Oh, yeah. Their defense is atrocious.
Yeah.
Enough said.
You can't say much more.
No. Okay. Number 3 is personal. Friggin' Navy.
This is why A&M wasn't in the duds, Watson.
If you're going to run this dull offense, at least be good at it.
Coach, they had 182 yards. This is one of the games I did consider taking. I wasn't dare going to say that on the air the other day.
I got ripped to shreds, and so I went home, and I've got the Tennessee Pitt game on one television, but I'm looking over to the corner, and Navy sucked.
How early did you turn that one off?
Oh,
Navy had 187 yards of total offense against Delaware. I said, no, I'm marking them off the list. And lost. They lost to Delaware.
Yes.
So I just couldn't see them turning that offense around in a week.
Mr. Niumatalolu and Ivan Jasper, the offensive coordinator, they have their hands full. And I'm
They're
off.
not going to want to come on and talk to us. I can promise you that, because you need them up.
Not taking them again this year.
Fraud alert.
Fraud alert. Who's the fourth dud?
Kirk Ferentz's Iowa Hawkeyes.
Nice offense.
They've scored like 16 points so far this season or something like that.
4 of the points on safeties.
Yeah, they've scored twice on offense in 2 games. And I think the offensive coordinator is his son, so that's a tough one.
You think?
I think the coordinator is his son, I believe. I'm not totally sure about that.
What would you do in that spot, Watson?
Well, first of all, if the father invites you over for breakfast, you decline. You just say, I had a bad night. I was drinking.
You either want to fix your football team and take care of it coaching wise, and you still want to be able to come home and have a wife.
Mom, I love you, but I will not be over at the house anytime soon.
So I don't know what you do with that one. That's tough.
Well, they had beaten Iowa State for what, 6 straight years?
Yeah.
I think it's 6 or 7. Yeah.
By the way,
I nearly took that one. My nearlies are just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, the
undefeated.
The under hit on that one. I think the over under was 40.
So if it's not Lance Leopold at Nebraska, it should be Matt Campbell.
I've been told that that's who it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's already through the coaching mill that's the one Matt Campbell would leave for. He thinks that one is really good and would leave for that one. So we'll see.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to get knee deep into college football, and we'll start with Tennessee's overtime win at Pittsburgh. It wasn't always perfect, but it's a W on the road against a really tough football team. This is Main Street Media Television.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. One area I can help with is if you are newly or nearly retired, or maybe have changed jobs and have an old 401k account. You may need more information to help you clearly understand your options. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email eric@rockcastlewealth.com.
Do you love bacon? I mean, do you really love bacon? Who doesn't, right? The 3rd annual Murfreesboro Bacon Fest is coming up Saturday, September 10th. Admission and parking are free. The Bacon Festival will feature live music, food, and craft vendors. And did I say bacon? You can ride a mechanical hog ride. Visit the Kids Zone with free inflatables. There will also be hourly raffles with great prizes and an opportunity to purchase Bacon Festival merchandise. And did I say bacon? Yeah. There will even be a bacon eating contest. Visit the 3rd annual Murfreesboro Bacon Festival Facebook page for all the details.
So here comes one of those Captain Obvious moments. Tennessee had a big road win at Pittsburgh. And Watson, I know there's some good and there's some bad that came out of it all, but you get a win up there against that team, you've done something pretty good.
No, I don't, and I don't think Tennessee played great. They were not very consistent throughout the game. In games that they're going to have to the games they got to win coming up, they're going to have to play a lot more consistent, but they won. They figured out a way to win. And I've always said, because have I said this 1,000 times, I'd much rather play bad and win as good and lose.
Yeah.
And I don't think they played bad, but they didn't play consistent. I'll get into this with Tony tomorrow. I still don't know a whole lot about Tennessee. I still don't. I don't know a lot about their defense. I'm not sure still about offense in some ways, but they won the game, and I thought that was the key. They never lost their poise, and they just hung in there and then made plays when they had to. The key to the game was Slovis going out.
Absolutely.
The kid had already passed for right at 200 yards and a half, and he was playing really well and took some shots. I don't know how long he's out or anything, and then even the backup got hurt. And so but that's also Tennessee pressuring to hurt those kids, not on purpose, but there was the pass rush got to Slovis right before the half, and they hit him good and knocked him out of the game. So give Tennessee credit, but I still got a bunch of questions for Tony tomorrow because I still didn't see a lot of answers yet I'm looking for.
Yeah. Defensively, I thought in the second half they were considerably better against the run. What do you make of that? Is that simply the lack of passing threat, or were they really better?
I think they were a little better. I do. But anytime you take a kid like Slovis out of the lineup, and the backup's not him. And he's decent, but he's not him. I think it changes the mentality of the game. And that had a little bit to do with it. But no, I think Tennessee showed signs defensively of being better than they were last year in the game, but just not consistent yet.
You have harped on this since this show started, I don't know, whatever number of weeks ago, 9 or 10 weeks ago, that they have flashes of unstoppable. But then about the time you buy into that, they'll give you 2 or 3 3-and-outs in a row that you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it showed up again in the Pittsburgh game. Why do you think it's showing up?
I don't know. It's got to stop, though, but it did. There was a difference, though, Saturday, and I'm sure you spotted it too. They didn't go fast the whole game.
Yeah.
They started slowing it down. They even huddled some. And I think what he's decided to do, and I bet we see it more, is if it's not going great, we may back off of the speed and settle down a little bit. And then if we get going again, but I thought he used it more as off and on speed instead of speed the whole game. I thought it helped him in the game. Thought it helped win the game.
Well, let me take that a little step farther. They're not all that good defensively. And to me, I've thought all along that this rush gets his defense out there more, and it's not a strength. I think what he did Saturday is more what he needs to start doing.
I think he's going to keep doing it. If he gets somebody rolling, he'll go. But if it's not going well, I think he's learned a lesson of, hey, we can't keep doing this to our defense. I think the Purdue game taught him a lot. You get out there, you're rolling, all of a sudden it's nothing, and boom, Purdue catches you just like that. I think he's learning that. I will be very surprised if we don't see him do more of what he did in the Pitt game.
They play Akron this week, who would
He'll go fast in this one.
Yeah, he'd rather play Akron, by the way, would rather play Navy. I'm very down on Navy.
You are so bad. Well, when you decide to get on somebody, you go for the jugular now. I'm telling you.
Get him out of here.
He's going to hate
go
Navy.
For the jugular.
He's going to hate Navy the rest of the season.
Well, here's part of it. Was I got embarrassed. Okay. I kept saying, Daddy's picked one, this one's going to go right. They were never even in it.
Hey, Billy, do you remember it's this close to being a bucket? It's this close.
I forgot about that. Oh, man.
You can stick that bucket where the sun doesn't shine.
Oh, excuse me, you make me cough. You got me laughing so hard. Oh, Lord, George. Now, you do it to yourself enough times.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no doubt about that.
But we digress, or we just get off of that subject. What do you make of Alabama having as hard a time with a Texas that we don't quite know what they are? That shocked me.
Yeah, but I was impressed with the Alabama mentality, psyche. That, boy, winning just breeds a lot of stuff. And that team could have folded many times. That place, there's another loud place to play. I've been there too. And when it gets rolling, those fans can be some of the best. And it was rolling. But Alabama is cool as they can be, and they hung in there, and then they just let the quarterback win the game.
Yeah, on the final
I don't
drive,
see how I ever pick against Alabama to the Georgia game just because of the quarterback. I'm telling you, that kid is as cool a customer, George, I believe, as I've seen in college football in 50 years. I mean, unbelievable. Nothing phases him.
Right.
And he was getting knocked around, and he didn't have open players like he normally has. And a lot was going on in that game. And Lord, it could have been a lot worse than what the score was. Texas could have got them down good. And then they lose their quarterback in the first series. And I'm telling you now, what happens if he plays the whole game? I'm not sure Alabama wins the game. Alabama is not as good at receiver and offensive line. They're not. And I don't know that they will get better, but I did not see a go-to guy that can just flame you, just turn around and run by you and look back at you and wave at you. I didn't see that. And they've been having that now for the last 10 years.
Okay, we were all about to, put a crown on Anthony Richardson after the performance against Utah. Number one, I thought Kentucky really had them well scouted. They got him rattled early, Watson, and he wasn't worth a hoot.
No, you could sit in his face, George, couldn't you? I mean, he lost his confidence, and Billy was over there trying to settle him down and keep him going, and he lost his confidence. He couldn't throw a quick out at the end of the game. He could not throw a 6-yard out to an inside receiver, which means the ball might travel a total of 15 yards or something like that. And he could not make that throw. It goes back to looking pretty good for Tennessee in 2 weeks. Maybe they settle him down and he gets his confidence back. And I think what Billy will do with him is he's going to do what I'm saying with Ryan. Make sure you do what he does best and don't put him in a lot of those just pure old 5-out drop back situations, because that's not what the kid does best. So they're going to run it more. They're going to run him more, in my opinion. They're going to throw more play action passes, more RPOs, and stay away from a lot of that 5-out stuff, because it didn't work against Kentucky.
I was very impressed before I fell asleep with Mississippi State, because they went into Arizona and just took a bunch of prisoners.
I think Mississippi State's pretty good, guys. That's the one that I marked after the weekend that got my attention a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought this could be a special year. This could be an 8 or 9 win year in Starkville. I'm telling you, I like that team. I like his quarterback. That kid has really matured and grown up. And his defense now can run. They really can run. And he's running the ball more. He's not throwing it ever down. Finally, I love Mike, and he's one of the brilliant dudes in our business. I've learned a lot from Hal Mummy and Mike Leach through my time, but he's starting to run the ball, and you just run it 20 times in a game and throw it 60 if you want, but just 20 runs. It'll make that passing game that much better. And he's got good backs back there. George, the guys that carried the ball the other night looked like they could play for a lot of people to me. Look out, Mississippi State, I marked. I think this is going to be a really good year for them if they stay healthy.
Auburn at home beats San Jose by 8. Watson, you know as well as I do, those alums leaving Jordan Hare, excuse me, we're all sitting there going, at the end of the year, he's out.
George, it could be a fight to the finish to see who goes first, West Virginia or Auburn. I mean, we'll have to watch it, and we may bet on that. Which one gets it first? It's just a matter of time. I watched some of the Auburn game. That's not Auburn that I've seen in years past.
What do you?
I don't think they're that good. I don't think it's coaching. I just don't think they're that good.
And certainly what went on in January could not have helped his efforts in recruiting.
No. But did you watch any of that one?
No.
When you do, you're going to tell me you're right. They don't look like Auburn that we've seen in years past. It don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. A lot of times the teams, watching a game, you look at their quarterback, you look at him for a couple plays, and it gives you everything you need to know. Finley
he's a stiff.
Yeah, it's tough to watch.
Yeah.
He's a stiff.
No, it's a matter of time with Auburn, in my opinion. Matter of time.
Watson, here, I went to the Vandy Wake Forest game, and my worries about Mike Wright, I think, showed up against really good competition. He can't throw against good people. Is there a point where they turn to this kid, A.J. Swan, and say, you're it? Or does Clark Lee try to make whatever you do to make it work with Mike Wright against good people?
Clark has got his hands full with this one because Mike is the leader of the team. He's one of their captains. He's vocal. He's worked really hard. He just struggles with drop back passes, and they're fixing to get into games after next week that they're going to have to throw passes. They can't just line up and run it against everybody and run him. And the competition they're fixing to play, I'm not sure it's not going to take two of them anyway. I'm not sure he won't stay with Mike but start playing AJ more as time goes on. But I think if I'm betting, I would bet Clark tries to stay away from it. And so
what do you think of Swan?
I didn't get to see but very little of him. I turned it off at 35-10, and he wasn't in yet. Then I turned it back, and it was when he was going in for their last score.
Yeah.
They looked pretty good, but now George,
who knows what it
fair
means
here. They had all the backups in the game at that point. And so I'm anxious to see. I think he's going to have to play them both anyway. Vanderbilt is better. Clark is doing it right, in my personal opinion. He's made great strides so far, but they're probably 1/5 of where they're got to get to. They've
got to have
a long way to go.
More recruiting years in a row.
Yes, and their fronts are still the weakness, in my opinion. The offense and defensive fronts are still the weakness of the team.
Billy, if you will, put the phone number jobby up there, because we're going to open up the phones in a couple of minutes and hopefully take a few of your phone calls. 588-2998 is our number. I want you all to get into some reaction to a crazy, crazy weekend of football on the college level. A very disappointing weekend if you're a Titans fan. A game they absolutely could not lose. They lost. Now, let's say hello to Brian Stewart, who joins us after a busy weekend. Brian, how you doing?
Well, I wish I could say I was doing better, George. Man, the Braves losing, the Titans lost that. I mean, that was a gut punch yesterday. I know when I left the stadium yesterday, I mean, it was just the air left the balloon really quick.
That's a really good description.
Hurt.
So give me some better news on the housing front.
Well, the best news right now is that these buyers are coming out and they are getting these good deals on these homes, on these listings, which means that, the sellers are still getting their house sold. They're still getting under contract. We're still getting a good price for them. The big thing is there's just more inventory right now. So if you have been one of those ones from the past year or so that said, you know what, I'm going to wait and hold off and kind of see how this housing market goes, now is the time to come back in, because the interest rates are getting a little bit better and the inventory has picked up and the sellers are able to give just a little bit more in concession. So if you've been on the fence about buying or selling, it's still just a great market. What I love is that we have balance to the market now. So I feel like whenever that seller, and that was one of the things that scared a lot of people, is they say, well, I want to sell my home and I want to get the money for it that I would love to have, but I don't know where I'm going. So we have options for that now. We have more homes on the market for inventory. We have sellers giving concession. And as always, we do property management and we can help you find a rental if needs be, and you want to settle in there for a year and then go hit the housing market. We've got options for you. George, that anybody out there that's looking for us, they can find us on the internet at onestoprealtytn.com. Our office number is 615-822-0750. And we are on Facebook and Instagram. And I would love to have everybody give us a like and a follow and keep up with these market trends that are going on, because it does change all the time. So if you need the expert to find you the house or sell that property, we're the ones to call.
Brian, thank you as always.
Thank you, George.
It's Brian Stewart. Hey, Billy, before we go to the break, if somebody wants to text a question, how do they do that?
Well, George, you got the search bar, of course. I know I've got the phone number up here, 615-588-2998. The search bar on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching, just type in that question, and I'll forward that over to you, George. So We'll see what we've got for the text questions as well as phone calls.
We'll go to the break, and then we'll take either phone calls, text questions, or a little bit of all of the above. This is Main Street Media Television.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It's really interesting. Some days we get the phone calls. Other days we get the text questions. It appears the latter is the case today. 588-2998 is the phone number if you want to get in. We're going to take one quick batch of text questions. Billy, lay them on us.
Busy day for the text questions, and we start first with Ben in Hendersonville. He asks, who is the second best team in the SEC East right now?
Ooh. Watson, let me start this one. At the moment, Kentucky certainly has to be rated ahead of Florida because they went down and beat them head-to-head, beat them in Gainesville, and by the end, kind of pummeled them. So right now, it's Tennessee and Kentucky that look to be a step ahead of Florida. You tell me where you go with it.
The winner of the Tennessee-Kentucky game is going to be number 2 in the East. I can't see the one I'm beating Georgia. I just can't see it. I know Tennessee has Georgia at home, right? I think I'm right about that.
Tennessee, no.
No, they go to Athens.
Georgia
got Alabama at home.
Right.
Kentucky has Georgia in Lexington. And I'll just go ahead and announce it. That'll be a CBS game.
Mm-hmm. And the Tennessee-Florida game is already the CBS game on 2:30.
It's a 2:30?
Yeah.
I just
How about
Florida,
the Akron game? Is it on
Florida's
Mizzley?
quarterback play, George. They fell back off a little bit for me watching that, especially second half. And Tennessee and Kentucky are so different in the way that they play.
Oh, gosh.
That's going to be a great game. It was last year. Tennessee ended up winning it, but it was a dogfight all the way through. I think the winner of Tennessee-Kentucky is the second best team in the East when they play, and it's late in the year. So I guess I'm dodging that one.
And there's no more excuses for Kentucky this year. I mean, this is it's there for you. It was there for you last year too, but I think it's got.
Yeah. What do you mean it's there for you?
They're better. I think they're better than Tennessee. They're bigger. They're stronger. I think it's tough to say who has the coaching edge. I think Coach Stoops is a better coach a little bit, but I think they should have beat them last year. And I think Kentucky, if you want to prove you're up there with Georgia, go beat Tennessee. Go beat them on the road. But is it more mental, Watson? Is it a mental thing for them?
Well, they have beaten Tennessee in Knoxville. They did the last time they went, I think.
Beat them 30-7 2 years ago up there.
I don't think there's Billy. I don't disagree with you. I get where you're coming from, but there ain't nothing I think Kentucky's scared of anymore. So it's just going to be the one that just plays the best that day, and it's two complete different styles. I love watching that happen. I love watching that. We're coming right at you, knock you down, to spreading you out all over the field and going fast and using all the speed and quickness against power. I just love that. So we're going to get to see it. And I couldn't pick right now. I think it'd be a toss-up game today. Would you all go there? Would you lead toward Kentucky or Tennessee, George, if they played this week?
I would say it'd be Tennessee by 3 for one reason only. It's in Knoxville.
Yeah.
But
Kentucky's gone there and won.
Yeah, they've gone down and kicked Florida. Listen, by the end of that game, Florida didn't want any part of Kentucky.
No, they didn't.
I think Kentucky's rated higher, right, by all the polls than Tennessee is right now. So if I leaned, I'd probably lean toward Kentucky a little bit right now myself. They excited me. Saturday
they're fun to watch.
That's just the way you like to see football games won. If you're just an old coach like me, an old 72-year-old coach that coached way too long, I just love that kind of football. And so I'm in Kentucky's corner right now.
What else you got?
Next one, George, we go to the NFL with the Titans. This is Rebecca from Manchester. She asks, will the Titans activate Josh Gordon for their game Monday night against the Bills?
Certainly got to think about it.
They might need to.
I didn't see anything where I said their receivers can't get it done. We just didn't go to them. Woods was targeted once that I remember in the whole game. We went to Phillips a ton. Why? I'd like to know why. Not that it was wrong or right. I'd really like to know why did they just pick that. We didn't use Hooper, who we brought him in to catch passes, and we didn't target him. That's the one that's
the head scratcher.
Yeah. So, and then Burks didn't get that many targets either. So I'll bet you're right, Billy. I don't know why they bring him in if they're not going to activate him. I don't see any reason to keep a guy like that on the practice squad.
The Jeff Swaim thing is head scratching. He played 44 snaps, 73% of them, and he's the third string tight end. Austin Hooper and the rookie Okonkwo are out there, and they've got. They're barely playing. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
I don't either, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just like to explain. Maybe he wasn't ready yet. I don't know. But the money we put in him, we put quite a bit of money in bringing him in here to catch passes. That's what we brought him in for, and we're going to need that. So let's see if it shows up in game 2.
That one was a little head scratcher.
Little bit. George, we go next to John in Bowling Green. He asks, should the Dallas Cowboys consider Jimmy Garoppolo?
You know, that one got debated a lot this morning. And I think they came up with the right answer, which is if you go get him, that's you, Cowboys front office, saying, we're good enough. I don't think they are. Watson, there wasn't anything about that team last night that felt like a playoff team.
No, and everybody's been talking about this as the Cowboy year. And I mean, now, guys.
The year of the penalty. They had 10 of them.
Yeah.
Flag fest.
But I think the Bucs are legit. I think the Bucs, they got it all. They get those offensive linemen back that are hurt. Julio looked fantastic. I mean, he looked like the old Julio Jones. He'd lost weight. He could run again. He was leaving people in patterns. Godwin looked quick again. I know he pulled a ham a little bit and going to be out a few weeks. Evans is fantastic. Cameron Brate is way underrated. That kid is a really good player. Now, he's had to sit behind Gronk for a couple of years, but Rick swears by the kid. He says he's a fantastic football player. And Tom Brady, I swear he looked 25.
So, Watson, let me ask you this.
Coming out of his hands and velocity on the ball, I go, geez. So I think they may have played still may have played one of the top 3 teams, at least in the top 3, with I think the Bills and the Chiefs. That's my top 3 right now.
In the telecast, they say that Brady really did a recruiting job on Julio Jones and,
I heard that.
Get yourself in shape, blah, blah, blah.
He did.
So did he show up here out of shape?
I know he was a lot heavier than he was last night. He may not own up to that. That young man has lost 15, 20 pounds.
Right.
Well, and
he was a lot thinner last night than he was as a Titan, and he couldn't stay healthy. And I mean, that catch he made up the boundary, he lands right on his shoulder and his head, and everything gets right up and goes right back to the huddle. When he was here last year, that finished him for the day. So he's a different player. I'm not getting on us for not re-signing him. But I'm telling you, we had Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, and they both showed out yesterday.
He looked like prime.
And what if we had those two still here? Wow.
He looked like prime Julio Jones. I mean, he really did. And
he looked like Julio 5 years ago.
Yeah, and that's pretty motivating. I think it's a little bit more motivating to go play for Tom Brady. No offense to Tannehill and the Titans offense. I don't know that there's a whole lot of receivers that are saying, let me go play in Nashville. Let me go play in that offense.
Yeah, but if you're part of that team, you got to have enough pride. Look, I don't know whether it's fair to get on Julio Jones or not, but what I saw last night didn't look anything like what I saw from him a year ago. And I saw too many third downs where he didn't want to be on the field. And I'm like, well, what do you got him here for?
Maybe I'll defend him this way, guys. Maybe his pride took over after the way he was last year. And he went back and looked at himself, says, I was awful. I didn't get in shape. I didn't do this. I wasn't tough enough. I didn't help this team. They have every right to let me go. Maybe he opened his eyes that way, and now the pride has hit him. And then when you get a call from Tom Brady now and says, I've watched you. Your weight's got to come down. You got to change your body. But if you do all this, I'll throw it to you if you come here. And I think that would be pretty motivating right there.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest part of it all. I mean, Tom Brady's the best quarterback to ever live. You get a call from him. I mean, that kind of saves your career a little bit. I'm not saying it's all Tom Brady, but You get a chance to go out and win it. Let's go win a Super Bowl. I'm going to say yes to that.
I haven't gotten a phone call from him. If I did, we'd interview him. We'll go to the break though on that, and then we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day, which frankly over the weekend needed to hit the road. Stay tuned.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
This was your show.
Oh, this is my part of the show here.
Yes.
I almost forgot about that, George. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, sponsored by Bart Durham Injury Law. Of course, since 1975, they've aggressively protected the rights of a broad range of victims of car accidents and personal injury in both Tennessee and Kentucky. If you too have seen your life interrupted by an injury on a highway, in a hospital, or at your workplace, you should let their attorneys do the work fighting for the full financial compensation that you need. Learn more about Bart Durham Injury Law by logging on to bartdurham.com. George, let's take a look at those results. And, oh, man. Oh, my gosh. 0 for 5 this weekend. Lost Navy, lost Army.
The Service Academy screwed me.
It really did.
It really did.
Florida and the Titans, that teaser lost, and the USC and Colts teaser lost. Arizona lost. But you've got some room here. You're still 26 and 29. You know, you do have some room for error, but not too. You can't.
Oh, it's time to pick it up.
You can't keep piling on these bad weekends.
Weekend disasters.
I mean, how do you prevent this moving forward?
You win. And we're going to win tonight.
Who you got tonight? The New York Mets -1.5. Going back to the well with baseball. You're not touching this Monday night game.
No, I'm not. Although I think Denver wins the game, and I hope that Russell Wilson gets a huge ovation.
Oh, he will.
He has taken a beating over the last few years, and he has been the only reason in recent years that the Seahawks have been respectable. Now he's gone. They're going to suck. How's that, Watson?
That's telling it as it is, George. Hey, you can't see me.
What happened there?
Glow in the dark.
I'm telling you, do I need to give you a pep talk here to get your head out of your butt and start winning some games, or what do we need to do? I mean, geez.
You know what I think we need to do?
5 straight.
You know what we need to do? We need to end the show right now. First of all, you look like you're in the twilight zone. What the hell's going on up there?
The sun is bouncing off of a chair right in my face.
Oh, this is great. This is great content.
Wonderful.
Right
this
looks like Darth Vader back here behind the screen.
Why don't you just stick there for about an hour and you'll be blind?
This will be a good clip later.
Man. Watson, see you tomorrow.
I get my sunglasses. I'll see you tomorrow.
Get your sunscreen, Watson.
Corey Hart, I wear my sunglasses at night. It fits up there in Cookeville. See you tomorrow.
Bye.